Just like you. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 2025, and the time is 8:48 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Gerald Ledoux to my left, Mr. Pete Freeman to my right. Today, the panel is at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. Staff, please introduce yourself for the record. Our remote location is St. Tammany Parish Jail. Would the staff from St. Tammany Parish Jail please introduce yourself for the record?
Corporal Jonathan Lott.
Thank you, Corporal Lott. And Mr. Green, would you introduce yourself for the record with your full name and DOC number?
I'm going to grab him right now, sir.
Okay.
We're gonna be remote. Right here on the camera, Mr. Green. I'm gonna come on there and ask you in here, give you TSC number, you know it?
Yes, sir.
So they're not asking if that's your signature on this document.
Are you Mr. Green?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
All right. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself with your full name and your DOC number for the record?
My name is Warren Javale Green, 352460.
All right. Do you have a paper in front of you, a parole revocation questionnaire?
Yes, sir.
Is that your signature on there that the officer went over with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Based on Supreme guidelines, you were not eligible for appointed counsel at that time. Are you ready to proceed with your hearing now?
I could. The trustee was moving some equipment. I couldn't hear you.
I said, are you ready to proceed with your hearing now?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and read your violation and ask you to make a plea either guilty, guilty with the statement, not guilty, or not guilty with the statement. So the first violation you have is condition number 4. It alleges that you engaged in criminal activity as evident by your arrest on 4/29/25 in St. Tammany Parish, where a sheriff's office charged you with operating a vehicle while intoxicated, open container in a motor vehicle, criminal sanctions while operating a motor vehicle while intoxicated. How do you plead to that charge?
On the first charge, driving while intoxicated, I'd like to plead not guilty with a statement based on my court date, June 11th, which the initial charge was dismissed by the courts based on there not being sufficient evidence to prosecute, but the DA replaced that charge with a reckless operation instead, and had me plead out to that with a credit for time served on 6 days.
All right. And then you had another violation, number 10, about fees, but you paid that up to date. So we're not going to discuss that one. You're fine and you're not guilty on that one.
If I may, if you don't mind, as far as the open container, I'd like to clarify that it wasn't a beer or beer can, anything. I will admit that I had a drink that night, and it was it was a daiquiri. It was basically the end of a daiquiri thing, but I didn't know the law is finicky. It says by the straw being inside the container, that justified an open container. So that's what it was and everything. So again, I played out to that. I played out to the sanction of my driver with the car is driving without insurance, which I had that problem with the auto pay. I got direct auto.
All right.
Yes, sir. But the insurance has been paid. The fines has been paid. The courts, like I said, the initial charge of DUI was dropped. They gave me a reckless operation. I got credit for time served on everything.
All right. Thank you. We also have, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Ms. Ledoux, who's assigned your case. She's going to ask you to verify some more information.
We got to hear from them.
Well, that's the next thing.
Well, at this time, Ms. Brenda Hurston is also here on your behalf, your girlfriend, and wishes to speak. I will go ahead and allow Ms. Hurston to make a comment.
Thank you.
Ms. Hurston,
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
what would you like to tell the board?
Just that he's been working really, really hard. And he hasn't gotten into any trouble since he's been out. And he had been working 2 jobs and establishing clientele for his business as a barber. And, you know, we all make mistakes. And he and I both have definitely learned from this lesson. We've learned multiple lessons from this experience, and we're just asking that you give him a second chance, please.
Thank you. We also have with us David Balfence, the supervising agent. And sir, at this time, I would like to ask you to make your statement to the board.
Okay. David Balfance, probation and parole subject supervising officer. I can attest that the St. Tammany Parish DA did drop the charge because of the blood alcohol content he blew was 0.07. I'm just gonna ask that if we return him to supervision, that we add interlock as a special condition to any vehicle he drives.
Agent, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your input and take those things into consideration. Mr. Green, I'd like to ask a question. I understand that, let me just say, you signed your parole supervision conditions, correct? You had a, okay. Do you remember what it said about alcohol?
Yes, ma'am. I mean, I understand. I wasn't just drinking, whether I was charged or not. I knew that drinking, whether I was drinking and driving or drinking period, is a violation of that. I do understand that.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that recognition. It does look like you were doing pretty well on supervision. I've got a concern. So, in the record, it indicates that you're on medical marijuana, and I'm not going to address that, but I'm recognizing it. And you were drinking. So you're turning to some things as a coping mechanism, or you're relying on substances. Do you have some things going on that you need to self-medicate?
Not necessarily self-medicate. Again, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink. This was the first time in forever that, I mean, honestly, that I have drunk. I'm not making an excuse because I caught the charge, but I did a massive amount of time earlier, 16 years earlier in the 90s. So I've never had a chance to actually conform to any massive drug use, alcohol use, anything. So I never, like, I mean, again, as Ms. Brenda was saying, you know, for the last past year, I've been working. I do take Celexa for anxiety and depression. I have had an issue once upon a time with being prescribed certain medications by 2 different doctors, and I ended up developing slight ulcers. So I kind of, I have dysphoria appeals. So I take my medication when needed, which is the reason why I kind of conform to more holistic measures as far as the medicinal marijuana. Again, I had a drink that night. I went to the movie theater. This is my first time at the movie theater. You know, I had a daiquiri. You know, well, matter of fact, I had 2 daiquiris. But like I say, the one time I actually did do it, I get caught for it. You know, and I'm paying dearly, because everything that I've worked towards in this last year is pretty much, you know, this one incident, and it's go, you know, like I say, but even whether I was drunk or not, buzz driving is still considered drunk driving. So I mean, I'm not opposed to not being responsible for my actions, you know, and I do apologize to the board for that, you know, but again, you know, it was a mistake, and just like I say, if they wouldn't have been in such a hurry to lay there and just book me on the charge, I probably wouldn't have never got charged with the DUI, but I can't reprimand the officers, you know what I'm saying, for their actions, because again, my mistake was made.
I'm always amazed at how excellent our law enforcement is. Every time someone is running drugs through the state, I'm always told that was their first time to run drugs on I-10, and we catch them the first time every time. So we have excellent law enforcement. You know, Mr. Green, you know you broke the rules. You know, and you are guilty of not conforming to your. But you know what? What you're saying is valid. So I'm going to listen to my colleagues, and then I'll be prepared to vote.
I got a question. I mean, I'll bring it up. I mean, how often are you taking medical marijuana?
Again, only as needed, because I don't use drugs on a regular basis. I don't drink.
Any that night?
Sir,
Had you taken any that day?
matter of fact, I just got that subscription earlier that day, so I could say probably around about that afternoon sometime.
See, you can't drive with it. I don't care if you got a prescription or not. You can't drive with it.
No,
You
sir.
can't take it, drive.
No, sir. Even though the incident
That's a
happened,
very grave situation. You talk to your officer about getting medical marijuana?
yes, sir, they were aware of it.
Okay, I think that's another way you coping with medical marijuana and alcohol. That adds on top. I mean, I don't think it's a good idea whatsoever. That's all right.
I don't have any questions unless the officer wants to add something. I see you kind of making a little movement.
Yes, sir. Can I ask? So Warren told me about the medical marijuana, and I told him about our policy as far as being on parole, good time, that we don't recognize medical marijuana. So I just wanted to add that and let y'all know that when he did address it to me, I did address it as well. as far as,
Drive with it, did you?
Sir?
say that again, I'm sorry, you broke up.
I mean, you didn't tell him he could drive with it. That's against the law. I mean, it's still against
No.
the law. We
No, I
granted.
didn't tell him that.
Okay, that's the only question I got.
You did in fact tell him he could not use medical marijuana, that it was not approved.
Yes, ma'am, I told him that.
October of 2024, you notated that in your records.
Yes.
So, Mr. Green, we do have that, and I've read through the agent's summary. Mr. Green, I believe that you have violated your conditions of parole. However, I am not prepared to outright revoke you. I would like to send you to a transitional work program for a period of 6 months. I think you need to understand the severity of what you've done. You know how much time, you know what your full term date is.
May I address that? Right now, I'd just like to ask the board, which parole am I actually getting violated for? Because I was initially on parole from 1993 to 2023, December 27, for a 30-day
Haven't been violated yet.
Sir?
You haven't been violated yet. We haven't even voted.
No, what I'm saying is I was supposed to initially receive my certificate of completion for that parole.
Okay.
I had a 1993 conviction which was 30 years, and the end of that parole was December the 27th, 2023. I never received a certificate of completion, and I've discussed that with my parole officer, and I have been attempting to contact DOC, which nobody's ever told me anything concerning that. And even up to this incident right here, according to 15-547 in the Louisiana Revised Statute, I have been talking to my parole officer about being placed on the inactive list before any of this took place, based on the fact that my distribution charge, which started after my completion of my parole for the manslaughter, never came into effect. So I do know, what I'm on parole for, but I'm not understanding why I'm on parole still for a charge that I'm not supposed to be on parole for.
So this board does not address time computation. We address the matters before us today. And Mr. Green, be careful, because you might be digging yourself in a hole,
You
okay?
are digging yourself.
No, I was
So
just
let's
asking.
sense better right now, okay?
Yes, ma'am, I understand. No, I was just addressing the matter because I was just told that, this would be the time I have.
Yeah, we don't do time computation. We're addressing the fact that you have violated your conditions of parole, that you are
Yes,
on parole and you have violated them. So let's just stick to the facts of the matter at this point. And you better hope I'm not changing my mind after that little discussion. But I do believe that you need to recognize the severity of what you've done, that there are rules and regulations, that your conduct is under supervision. So today my vote is to, in lieu of outright revocation, send you to a transitional work program for a period of at least 6 months.
I agree with that. I feel that you violated condition number 4, and we'll send you to work release. If they have any classes, please take them. If you can get some AA or NA.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Done great, Hal. Keep doing great while you're on the outside.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
And I'm going to concur with them on the transitional work program. Also, I'm going to add the condition of interlock on any vehicle that you drive. So you cannot drive any vehicle whatsoever unless it has the ignition interlock on it. You understand that? And that's for the rest of whatever time you're on supervision for.
Oh, yes, sir.
All right. So this will, today your parole has been reinstated with conditions, and this will conclude our business with you today.
I'll bring you some later today to sign so we can get
All right, parole, Committee on Parole is called back to order. We're still at the St. Tammany Parish Jail. Working on a hearing on Mr. Delloyd Marigny. Is Mr. Marigny available?
We're trying to get him up right now, sir.
All right, thank you.
He was given notice at 8:30 to be ready.
Okay. Committee on Parole is called back to order. We're still at the St. Tammany Parish Jail, and we're working on a case on Mr. Delloyd Marigny. Is that you, Mr. Marigny?
Yes, sir.
Could you go ahead and state your full name and your DOC number for the record?
Delloyd Marigny, 52-17-68.
That's correct. Do you have a parole revocation questionnaire in front of you, the sheet you signed about talking about preliminary hearing and appointed counsel?
Yes, sir.
And that's your signature down there?
Yes, sir.
All right. And at that point, you were determined not eligible for appointed counsel. So we're going to go ahead and continue this hearing on without the appointed counsel.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to read you a violation and ask you to plead guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement. And then that's it. We'll move to the next one. We'll get into them a little deeper further in.
Yes, sir.
So it's alleged that you have violated condition number 4, that you failed to refrain from criminal activity was evidenced by your arrest on November 14th by St. Tammany Parish Sheriff and charged with domestic abuse battery, resisting an officer by refusing to identify, disturbing the peace, and simple assault. On May 19th, 2025, you pled guilty to disturbing the peace. How do you plead today to that charge?
Not guilty with a statement.
State. Okay, hang on. All right, the second violation you have is number 10, that you failed to stay current on your supervision fees as evidenced by a arrearage of $691 as of 11/26/24. How do you plead to condition number 10?
Not guilty.
All right. Ms. Ledoux has been assigned your case. She's the lead person. She will take over and interview you regarding your statements.
Okay, so, sir, you pled guilty to disturbing the peace, but what do you have to say on allegation number 4?
I didn't plead guilty to that. I was found not guilty on 3 of the 4 charges. The court found me guilty of that because there was a fight in which they deemed me as, not the aggressor. I was defending myself as a 3-on-1 situation. So the court found me guilty because the cops were called, but I didn't plead guilty to that, man.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes,
I'm not going to address number 10. I'd like to go ahead. I hear it.
Can I say something on number 10? I was incarcerated for 7 months. I think my agent can tell you about it. And I was waiting to see that if they was going to expunge them payments because I was incarcerated, but it never stopped adding up. But my family been paying on it since I've been in here.
Okay. Yeah, that's not my primary concern today.
Yes, ma'am.
So do you want to just explain yourself for a minute and tell me what happened?
With the situation, me and my wife, we just had a argument outside. We was going through a rough time. Just had lost a baby. I just had lost my job. We had an argument outside, and I just tell her, come inside. Let's talk inside. The neighbors got in a situation. One thing led to another. I ended up fighting with 3 guys. And, they held me down, choked me out till the cops came.
I've watched some of that. We do have Aubrey, your wife, and she would like to speak. So I'm going to ask if she would like to make comments at this time.
Hey, good morning. How are y'all?
Good.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we just had a verbal disagreement that did lead outside, and I believe had the neighbors got involved, it would not have went any further than that. He wasn't the aggressor, so that's it. And I just believe that he should be let out.
All right. Thank you, Miss Aubrey.
Thank you.
Kyle Goldbridge. Excuse me. I'll let you pronounce and introduce yourself. Your supervising agent.
That's Kyle Gullidge. Yes, I'm supervising agent that took over Mr. Marigny's case in August of last year.
What would you like to present today? Do you have some insight from your perspective on his supervision?
As far as insight on supervision, like I said, I took his case over in August, saw him in November before the arrest, and that's all I've seen him. The only thing I have today is the arrest report and the video that was provided from the sheriff's office to the parole board,
Which I have watched.
Which was not admissible in court because it was video clips. Can I say that too?
No, ma'am, not at this point. Thank you, though. Mr. Delloyd, I watched the video clip. Maybe in your circle of friends, that's acceptable behavior. That's certainly not acceptable behavior where I come from. Okay, and I don't think that's acceptable behavior on supervision. You obviously were putting your hands in an aggressive manner, and harming another individual is not your wife. I watched how you jerked her out of the car. I mean, that's not acceptable behavior. You would agree to that?
I didn't hurt my wife. I wanted her to come inside, ma'am.
We got to watch the tape now.
We
Yes, sir.
we use
And
words.
it is admissible at the parole board.
See, that is to your conditions that you will remain from any kind of physical aggressive conduct with any other person. Okay, that's the expectation, and that was not what I saw. That was not what I saw. You were non-compliant with the officer. You know, you're a fourth class offender. You know that immediately you should be able to identify yourself and comply with law enforcement. That's just a given when you're on supervision. And the fact that they even gave charges to that really concerns me. Okay. This isn't your first time. You've had other supervisions that have not been successful. I'm concerned about that. Do my colleagues have any questions?
Yeah, somewhere when we were looking through this file, I saw that you had a parole in Kentucky with a Miss Lisa Bosher. What's the status of that Kentucky situation?
There's a hold on me waiting on this disposition.
For violating the parole down there?
No,
Like
sir. For this.
trouble down here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You know,
That was the only question I had. How about you, Mr. Green?
I have no question. Thank you.
you know, what we have is evidence of aggressive behavior toward an individual, and that's not tolerated when you're on parole. If you have an argument, that should be verbal and not physical at all in any way. So my vote today is to revoke you based on non-compliance with your parole conditions.
Mr. Freeman?
My vote is to revoke violating condition number 4.
And I'm going to concur with my colleagues and also vote to revoke due to the violent nature of the criminal behavior committed while on supervision. So, Mr. Marigny, today your parole has been revoked. This concludes our business at St. Tammany Parish Jail.
On video, start a video. Try that. I think the mic is built in.
Oh, well, that's why I got you back here, because you're out
All right, well, we got something.
It says ours working with the screen and the video went away. Explanation. Video working. I don't know if it froze up or something.
May not work till they join in with us.
There's somebody there. I don't know who that was.
It's working because I can hear some.
Three stitches in there trying to figure out. Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 25. The time is 9 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, chairman today. My colleague on the panel are Mr. Lee to my left, Mr. Freeman to my right. Our remote location, Rapides Parish Detention Center. Is there anybody there?
Yes, sir.
And can you please introduce yourself for the record?
Sergeant Stoneman and Sergeant Marshall and Corporal Bellegarde's here. Can you get our video here going?
Can you turn your camera on, please?
We're trying. That's what I'm trying now, sir. Camera's being used by other apps. What's the arrow say? Is the arrow right? Mirror. Video set. We just had it working. I lost them too. Yeah. Can you use your tablet? Yeah, I get the well. I think. What does it do? This is directly hooked to the internet. This ain't even no Wi-Fi. This is direct connection. Says it's streaming.
Can you please turn your camera on?
That's what we're working on now, sir. We're working on it. We can't see y'all neither. Yeah, I'm trying to log into the tablet now. Oh, there they go. Okay. Hold on. Might be getting somewhere. The camera is being used by other apps. What does that mean? Tell them we're switching to tablet. Yeah, we're in the process of switching to a different unit. I don't know if it's broke or it was working and now they. I don't have. No, I just gotta go to that address. Well, I was working before they got on there, and now they ain't working at all.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is 6/24/25. The time now is 9:37 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues are Ms. Ledoux to my left and Mr. Freeman to my right. Our remote location now is at LaSalle Parish Jail. Is there any staff at LaSalle Parish Jail in the room with you?
No, sir.
No? Okay. And would you please introduce yourself with your full name and DOC number for the record?
I'm Shaka Jones. DLC number 734-738. Currently housed at LaSalle Correctional Center.
Do you have a parole revocation hearing questionnaire in front of you?
1 second. I think so. Oh,
Look, it's up on the screen.
okay.
You recognize that paper?
Oh, yes, sir.
And that was where they determined that you were not eligible for appointed counsel. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead on and proceed with your hearing today without appointed counsel. Do you have retained counsel?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm going to read you the violations against you and ask you to give me a plea to them, and you can respond with guilty, not guilty, guilty with the statement, or not guilty with the statement. I'm assigned your case, so I'm going to be doing all the questions. The first violation you have is that you failed to report for the month of October, November of 2024 after being instructed to report monthly. How do you plead to that?
Guilty with a statement.
All right. And on October 14th, 24, you were instructed to report to your parole office and failed to do so. How do you plead to that?
Guilty with a statement.
And on or about October 24th, you moved from your listed address without permission, leaving your whereabouts unknown to the parole officer. How do you plead to that?
Not guilty with a statement.
And condition number 4, you were arrested for the offense of simple kidnapping, domestic abuse, battery, strangulation, as evidenced by your arrest in LaSalle Parish. On May 20th, 25, the charge of domestic abuse, strangulation with child endangerment and simple kidnapping were dismissed at the request of the victim. How do you plead to that charge?
To have been arrested on it, sir?
Arrested and having it dismissed.
Yes, sir, guilty.
And
With a statement, guilty with a statement.
And on November 4th, you refused to provide a drug screen during booking.
Guilty with a statement.
Okay, so you want to explain that, all of them.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Well, let's go back to the first number 2, where you failed to report in October and November. What you had to say about that? What's the statement?
The first Wednesday of October, I was actually en route to my parole officer, and on our phone conversation, he stated that, excuse me, he stated that he had to leave the office early and that he had to go to his headquarters in Alexandria to take care of some paperwork. And he told me just to come back November, that everything was paid up and everything was okay. So when I was actually in my route to see him, the latest that I could have been there was 3 o'clock from appointment, and he was already gone from the office before I got there. And he told me just to come November, and everything was paid up and everything was okay.
And what happened? You got arrested before then?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And on number 2, part 2, you were instructed to report but failed to do so on October 14th. What happened there?
Well, I just talked to him previously the first Wednesday of the month, in which he had then told me that everything was okay, and then explaining to me when he said that I had to, once after my arrest, I asked him could I present the evidence that I had on my behalf to show my whereabouts when the crime was committed? And he said that the warrants had already been signed, that I had to go to jail that day. And I didn't understand if I had evidence showing right then that at the time that the crime was committed, that I wasn't in the vicinity of the crime, how my evidence wasn't suitable enough for me not to go to jail. Like, because I had the evidence to where I was and a
You
person
did
that I
not
was
report you just because you didn't like what he told you.
correct. I can't deny that.
All right. And then number 4, you were arrested for the offense of simple kidnapping, domestic abuse, battery, strangulation by LaSalle Sheriff's Office. Tell us about that.
I was arrested on the offenses. As of why, I'm honestly not sure. But the mother of my child, once we had a conversation about the incident, like there was nothing besides I can't tell you why she called or what was her reason, but as far as me physically hurting anybody, I didn't physically hurt anybody. And I feel this is why the DA was ruling to dismiss the charges on both of our behalves. Because as far as a crime against anybody, as far as harming anybody, I never committed a crime to harm anybody. And the kidnapping charge, as far as on my daughter, I had permission to leave the residence with my daughter. So I don't understand how, with the evidence that I had on my behalf, I don't understand how I could have even been arraigned or arrested on the charges besides the fact that I was on parole and like I don't know if there had to be an investigation or something, but as far as committing a crimes, I was never guilty of.
Well, I'm looking at the summary of the preliminary hearing. I can help you with a little bit of an understanding. It says here, Officer Davis observed Ms. Smith to have cuts on her lower part of her face, the same area as the just above, which was red in color and swollen her jaw, consistent with a fistic encounter. Ms. Smith stated that Shaka Jones was at her residence when he found out that she met someone while she was in rehab. Ms. Smith and Mr. Jones were in a previous relationship together and have a child together. Ms. Smith advised that Mr. Jones got her phone and called the male and exchanged a conversation with him. Ms. Smith advised Mr. Jones said to the man on the phone, "Don't worry, she's about to take your lick for you." Ms. Smith advised that Mr. Jones then slapped her in the face while she was holding the baby, and then she hit him back in an effort to defend herself. Mr. Jones began to choke her until she lost consciousness while he was choking her. That's
Okay.
her story.
But I also have another statement that I gave to my parole officer to where in her statement she said that there was an altercation, but the children wasn't home.
Mhm.
You,
Well,
you
you
sure?
spoke different than what you're saying. That nothing ever happened.
Sir?
Said no. All of that says different than what you say. You say nothing ever happened.
No, what I'm telling you is there's also another statement that I provided to my parole officer to where she says that there was an altercation, but the children wasn't home. And this is the evidence that I presented to my lawyer. Like 1 minute the children was home during this altercation, and the next minute the children, like she gave 2 different statements, but the evidence that I gave to my parole officer was also supposed to be presented to y'all, and I had that here with me.
Okay. How about condition number 4B, where you refuse to provide a drug screen during booking?
To the jailer, I actually asked if it was okay if I talked to my parole officer. Okay, the jailer at the jail, and he did tell me that it was no violation for me not giving the jail a drug test. As far as me being on parole, I was waiting and willing to talk to my parole officer about the situation because I really didn't understand what was going on from the get-go. Because even after the charges was pressed on me, the mother of my child, like we still communicating, and she's telling me one thing as far as that there's no charges on me. So
You got a
being
break,
arrested for, sir?
got a big break right there when she decided she didn't want to press the charges. Okay,
Excuse me.
anything else that you want to tell us?
I don't want to just,
I don't see that there's nobody here in support. There's nobody here in opposition. So it's your chance to give us your final statement before we make a decision.
well, my parole officer came by the house on August 28th to a home visit. I reported on the 4th, and 8 days later, he says that he came back and that I was, and that I wasn't home or whatever, and had already been moved from the residence. However, I was working 2 jobs, and how I know that I was on the clock on the 12th is because my birthday was September 24th, and I was picked up from the house that he said that I had moved from, and I went to my mother's house for a birthday dinner, and I was still living in both locations to where he says I wasn't there. Okay, around September 20th, I get a phone call from LaSalle General Hospital that the mother of my child had overdosed on prescription medications. And once I get to the hospital, I asked the doctor whether she was leaving, as far as the girl I was living with agreed that she could come stay there, or if she was going to get help. The doctor stated that due to the situation of her mental beings, he referred her to go get help. Okay, 3 days after my birthday, around September 27th, she was discharged from long leave from overdose. I went into the situation in my eyes as a helping hand, okay, due to the fact that I was in a previous relationship with another female. I don't understand, like my intentions was never to hurt anybody. And the kidnapping charge, like I had permission to have my daughter. You know what I'm saying? And like the situation with the mother of my child, I just didn't see it fit. I was trying to help the fact that she had just came home off her overdose. You know what I mean? And trying to understand the mental being of a person that just attempted suicide. Like my intentions wasn't to harm anybody. Now, should I have called law enforcement? I don't understand. I don't really understand why it would have been necessary due to the fact that like there wasn't an altercation to where me leaving wouldn't have advanced anything. Like I don't understand what calling law enforcement would have helped if there was nothing, no harm done in the situation.
All right. Okay, I guess does anybody have any questions, Mr. Ledoux?
No.
Mr. Freeman?
Was there any reason you didn't, turn yourself in when the officer asked you to?
No, sir.
And how long have you, been in jail waiting for this hearing? How long have you been in jail?
Oh, since November 24th.
7 months.
Yes, sir. And this might hurt me by saying this, but when Officer Norman contacted me, he said that if I met him with my daughter, that he could do away with the kidnapping charge. And I didn't understand like kidnapping. Like I literally was just my daughter was literally just given to me to take to my mother's house to get clean clothes and wipes and pull-ups. And this was less than 15 minutes after I left the residence of her mother. Okay, and then he said, and maybe the other girl, maybe you can talk to her to drop the charges. And when he said other girl, like I didn't understand who or what he was talking about. And by me, the person that I was with at the time, I had been with the last 2 days when he told me that the crime was committed. I was still with the same exact person that I was with when the crime was supposedly committed.
Have anything further, Mr. Chairman?
All right. All right, that would conclude the questioning. It's time to vote. Your case has been assigned to me. I'm gonna have to vote to revoke your parole due to failing to follow the instructions of your parole officer and the serious nature of the violations and criminal behavior that you have committed. Mr. Freeman?
I vote to revoke. I think he violated condition number 4 and number 3.
Ms. Ledoux?
Based on everything I've heard, you have been non-compliant with parole supervision. You did not obey the orders of your parole officer. And I do believe that what you call a conversation was a physical altercation. So my vote is also to deny your, to revoke your parole at this time.
So, Mr. Jones, today your parole has been revoked, and this will conclude our business at LaSalle Parish Jail at 9:54.
God bless you all.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 25, I mean. And my name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Mr. Ledoux to my left, Mr. Freeman to my right. Panel's at headquarters in Baton Rouge, and our remote location is at Rapides Detention Center. Is there anybody from Rapides Detention Center in the room with you?
Yes, sir. Sergeant Stommel.
Sergeant, thank you for hosting us today. And Mr. County, would you please introduce your name, yourself, and give us your full name and DOT number for the record?
Mario County. My DOC number is 513815. I'm being
Right.
Rapides Parish Detention Center 3.
Okay. And do you have a parole revocation questionnaire in front of you, a sheet that it talks about appointed counsel?
Yes, sir.
And you signed, that's your signature on that sheet?
Yes, sir.
They found that you were not eligible for appointed counsel at the preliminary hearing, so that would carry over to this hearing also. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the violations that it's alleged you have committed, ask you to plead guilty or not guilty with a statement or without a statement. We'll go through all of them, and then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Freeman, who's going to get into details with you.
Yes, sir.
First violation you have is you violated number 3, where you failed to reside at the listed residences, 475 Greer Road in Pineville, Louisiana. How do you plead to that?
Guilty, sir.
All right, the second number 3 is you left the state of Louisiana without permission, and you admitted to going to Houston, Texas on May 8th and returning on May 16th. How do you plead to that one?
I guilty with a statement.
Not guilty with a statement?
Yes, sir.
All right, number 4, that you failed to refrain from illegal use of drugs and alcohol, and that a drug screen was conducted on April 4th, 2025, and on May 16th, 2025, at which time you tested positive for drugs. How do you plead to that?
Guilty, sir.
And condition number 5, that you were in possession of a firearm while agent was conducting a search of your cell phone. Agent observed a photo of you in possession of a firearm. You admitted that you were in the photo and that you indeed possessed a firearm. How do you plead to that?
So plead not guilty, sir, with a statement.
All right, and number 6, that you failed to maintain employment. How do you plead to that?
Guilty.
All right. Mr. Freeman has been assigned your case. He's the lead person, so he's going to go ahead and take your statements on those violations.
Okay, first I see that you have Ms. Kamisha Lott here to speak on your behalf. Ms. Lott, what do you want to tell us?
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. What do you want to tell us about Mr. Mario?
Yes, I was just here to say, I work at Garrett's Manufacturing here in Monroe, Louisiana, and I'm a supervisor. And if y'all give him a second chance, he has a job and he has a stable place to live.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
He's a good person.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's go back. Okay, Mr. County. Let's start with number 3. Did you go to Houston?
Sir, I didn't go to Houston, sir. My parole officer asked me when was the last time I was in Texas. The last time I was in Texas, sir, was when the parole board booted me out of Texas. I asked them to switch my parole from Texas back to Louisiana because I had been going through some problems with my ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
And I only been down here like a month, sir. And I ended up right back in jail.
All right. What about the drug screens you tested positive for? What drugs were you on? What were the drugs?
Sir, it was marijuana and cocaine, sir.
Do you think you have a problem with that? Do you, we need to try to get help?
Yes, sir. I honestly do have a problem, sir, with the drugs.
All right, let's talk about the firearm.
The
Was that
firearm,
face
sir,
band?
sir, I make music, sir, and I had took a picture with a prop gun, and I wasn't thinking, sir, that I was gonna get in any trouble for taking that picture, sir. I just did time on a gun, sir, and I honestly, sir, I wouldn't dare put myself in that situation to where I end up back in prison. I'm going through some things in the courts now. We're trying to get my grandkids back, so I wouldn't even put myself in that situation, sir, too, with a gun, sir.
Okay, because you're right. You were home for possession of firearms, so you know you shouldn't have one.
Yes, sir. That's why.
Or said that you admitted that it was a firearm.
Yes, sir. I told her it was a prop gun, sir.
Okay, well, he said you said it was a firearm.
No, sir. I didn't tell him it was a firearm. He asked me what kind of gun it was, and I told him what kind of gun it was, and she just took it up on herself and just said, but she was violating me for it.
Okay, I have no further questions, Mr. Barber, or anyone else?
I have no questions. How about you, Ms. Ledoux? Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions, no.
All right. If no more questions, you want to make a final statement before we vote?
Yes, sir. Sir, if y'all give me another chance, sir, I'll go to treatment. I'll do whatever it takes, sir, to stay free, sir. I have a lot of time left on parole, sir. I haven't caught any new charges. And I'll do everything right, sir. Just if you just give me another chance, sir.
3 minutes, your case, you're up.
Okay. You know, it's tough. You know, you own for a firearm, you had that picture with a firearm, you said it wasn't real, the officer said it was real. And everybody knows I don't have any tolerance for firearms, so my vote today is to be to revoke in violation number 3 and number 4.
So they never got a firearm off me, sir. I never got caught with a firearm, sir.
Right, just had it in the picture.
Yes, sir. It was a prop gun, sir.
Okay.
Okay, but Mr. Mario, you're a third offender, you're past your second chances, and you've been on probation before and parole before you know the rules. I find that you're in violation of your conditions of parole, and my vote is to revoke.
I'm going to concur with my colleagues and vote to revoke your parole for all the same reasons. Mr. County, this is to tell you that your parole has been revoked effective today, and this will conclude our business at the Rapides Parish Detention Center.
What's that about?
These some people, do your family member know you going before this or something? Not that I know of. I ain't even been
Okay. I don't know if this be like family members or something like that, or you don't read this perfectly.
Mm.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 2025, and the time is 10:18 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Ledoux to my left and Mr. Freeman to my right. The panel is at headquarters in Baton Rouge, and our remote location is Riverbend Detention Center. Any staff at Riverbend, please introduce yourself for the record.
Officer Samika Martin.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Mr. Green, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number for the record?
Carson Green, 513301.
All right. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. I'm going to read some information to the record, ask you to verify it, and then we're going to give you a chance to speak. Tell us what you did to cause your incarceration and why you should be released. We'll ask the warden for comments. We'll allow some supporters from the public and opposition from the public, and then we'll conduct the interview. So let's begin. Today, we have for parole consideration Carson Green, DOC number 513301, who's a first felony offender who was convicted of manslaughter, reduced from first-degree murder, and on August 23rd, 2006, was sentenced to serve 40 years hard labor in Caddo Parish. On your parole eligibility date is September 23rd, 25. Your good time date is 3/12/38, and your full term date is 10/21/44. Does that information sound correct to you, Mr.?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is.
All right. Go ahead and tell us why you think, what you did to get yourself into jail with that large of a sentence, and why do you think you should be released on parole today?
I had committed a murder charge. I did something that I shouldn't have done, and it's what caused me to come to jail. And the reason why I feel like I should be released is because I've learned that I am nobody to take anybody's life. So I'm very remorseful for what I've done because it's something I shouldn't have done. And in the instance of me being incarcerated, I've also learned that, you know, I can become a citizen, a working citizen, a law-abiding citizen in society.
And what have you done since you've been in incarceration to better yourself?
I've took numerous of classes. I've took anger management. I've took drug classes because, and when I committed the crime, I was highly intoxicated, and being that I had an anger issue and that surrounded around the charge, the statute of the charge, I took those classes. And also took Thinking for a Change, like right before the parole hearing started.
One, do you have any input for us? Anything about his behavior down there at the jail with y'all?
She stepped out.
Stepped out? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Pass over that one then. I don't see that there's anyone here in support of this. We do have the victim family in opposition. With Miss Amelia Robertson, can we bring her up and let her have it speak?
Yes, sir. How y'all doing today?
Good, good.
All right,
Go
my
ahead.
name is Amelia Robertson.
Uh-huh.
I'm she cousin. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. I'm here because I feel like that Carson has really taken a lot from our family when he took Kevin from us. not long that you probably have, you know, been incarcerated and learned that you might forgive, but you gotta understand, yeah, you took somebody's life, not long what you have done to the community out here and to the family. So it is taking time for us to really, and we haven't forgot because Herbie case is still right there. So right now, I think Mr. Green should serve his 40 years. I'm just speaking for the heart because he should not be released because the drugs that he was on, he knew better. He knew better. He knew exactly what he was doing, regardless of what him and Mr. Shield had going on. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Thank you. All right. We also have another opposition to victim sister, Miss Christina Mosley. Go ahead. Or Cynthia, I said Christina, Cynthia.
Excuse me, that's my aunt, and she's in a meeting right now at her job, so she had to time out of the Zoom.
Okay, do you want to speak for her? Are you related? Are you a family member?
Yes, sir. I should be on him. My name is Tevin Shields. I'm actually the nephew of the victim.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what you have to say.
Again, my name is Tevin Shields. I'm the nephew of the victim. Obviously, you can tell I was named after my uncle, which was his name was Kevin. I'm Tevin, and I agree with my cousin. I feel like he shouldn't. Honestly, I feel like he should never be released back into society because when you took my uncle away from my family, not only did you take my uncle, you took my grandma away from me, and you took my father away from me because my father mourned and stressed about that until he died. So you didn't only take one life, you took three. So what you did to our family still is in mourning. And I feel like a person that would brutally murder someone that was helping them, and not only did you murder my uncle, you drug him on the side of his house and left him there. Not only did you kill my uncle, you stole his vehicle and you came back to rob him. A person, any person that would harm a person that was helping them should never be in society. And that's just solely what my heart feel for any person. I don't care. It didn't even have to be my family member. What you did was completely wrong. And I feel like even in your statement, what you just said was completely self-centered about yourself. You didn't say anything about what would considering the family. You just want to be free because you've been held down for a period.
You need to address the board, not him, okay?
I'm speaking to you all. I just feel like he shouldn't be directly in society because that was not a mistake. And what he did was, like I said, it affected my family times three. Not only is my uncle dead, even the dog, man, the dog that was in the house directing this toward the board, the dog even was traumatized from this. After I got my uncle, the dog even died from having seizures and stuff, getting the dog analyzed, and the dog had seizures and died from this incident. So, like I say, to the board, any person that will harm a person and brutally kill a person that was helping them, you should never be in society. Like, how could society even trust you?
Thank you. And we just want to recognize that Miss Cynthia was not able to be here because of work. She did want to testify in opposition, and anyone else from the Mosley family that needed to testify is not available today. So they have opposition, the whole entire family. Okay. On that note, we have strong law enforcement opposition too. The judge in the case is opposed. The sheriff is opposed. The chief of police is opposed. And the attorney general is opposed. The case has been assigned to Ms. Ledoux, who's going to ask you some questions and cast the first vote. So Go ahead with it.
Mr. Green, I'm glad that you took Thinking for a Change. That's a good class, but I noticed you have not taken pre-release. You
Yeah,
haven't
they didn't see me. They haven't seen me. I required and inquired about that at DCI, and they told me they was gonna do it a year before I came up for parole, and then I got shipped to here.
that is required prior to release. Ms. Robertson made a statement, and I just want to follow up because also in my notes, she said, regardless of what they had going on, that should not have taken place. Should not have killed Kevin. What was the motivation for your actions?
He was trying to come on to me.
He was coming on to you, and you was just at a party with him the day of.
Hey, you spoke.
Gotta speak when it's your turn.
Okay. So if you were to be released, what would be your plan of reintegration into society?
My plan would be to go get a job and find somewhere stable to stay, and because I stay with my grandmother, and at being that I'm there with my grandmother, I would make sure to take care of her. I would take care of her for the time being because she has that not long. She don't have that long to live. And in the midst of doing that, I would relocate.
You had a write-up back in 2020. It looked like it was for drugs at jail. Is that 2020? You had a disciplinary report in 2020. What was that for?
I can't quite remember.
In
2020?
Excuse me, somebody has their microphone on and we can't hear him because we keep hearing talking in the background. Yeah, ask whoever, the warden or somebody, to tell them, please keep it down or come in and I'll keep it down.
So they can hear you. They can hear you. I think you might need to close the door.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you don't remember what it was in 2020 that caused you to get a disciplinary write-up and lose good time? You don't remember?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
In 2020.
Yep. Okay. So you were charged with first-degree murder, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you took a plea agreement to manslaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that was a big break?
Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I wasn't trying to get a break because I was all everywhere. And at the time of me doing it, after the situation, then going through preliminary hearing and going through the court situation and everything, I understood that I done something wrong. I did something wrong. And I was just really trying to just, not do anything worse to make it worse than what it already was, and just admit what I had done.
Let me help clarify. Getting a plea off of first-degree murder, which carries life imprisonment, you got a very big break, okay? Just to clarify, give you some information on how to look at that. I don't have any other questions. My colleagues?
Mr. Freeman, do you have any questions?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I don't have any questions either. We ready to vote? Ms. Ledoux, it's your case. You get the first vote.
Mr. Green, my vote today is going to be to deny. I think you need to take some ownership of your actions. I know you said what you did was wrong. I don't know if you understand how wrong, but you have not taken your pre-release, and you've only served half of your sentence, which was pled down from first degree. So my vote today is to deny parole.
Mr. Freeman?
My vote is to deny. Not enough time served, and it was a result of a plea bargain and victim opposition.
And I'm going to concur with my colleagues for the same reasons both of them noted, especially the fact that you got a reduced charge from a first-degree murder. So today, Mr. Green, your parole request has been denied, and this is going to conclude our business at the Riverbend Detention Center.
Sorry, said to go ahead and pull him. Sorry, just pull him. The RHODUS is on his way. I see him.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 25, and the time 10:42 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Ledoux to my left and Mr. Freeman to my right. Panels at headquarters at DOC, and our remote location is above the Markville Detention Center. With staff there, please introduce yourself for the record.
Trish Silas.
Thank you. Mr. Rhodus, would you please introduce yourself by giving us your full name and DOC number for the record?
He's coming. Me, I in a hurry. We got like 3 different courts going on.
God damn. That's triple burn. Oh man, I moved. Yeah, I have 16. Oh, Lord, remember I was in the chair? I was in the chair. I was like, man, I don't.
Mr. Rhodus, can you hear us? Would you please introduce yourself? State your full name and DOC number for the record. Okay, your mic's on mute. You need to turn it on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you now. Give us your full name and DOC number for the record.
Okay, my full name is Willis Michael Rhodus. DOC number is 739-665.
All right, I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. First, I'm going to read some information, ask you to verify it. We're going to give you a chance to speak and tell us what you did to cause your incarceration and why you think you should be released. We're going to ask for input from the warden. We're going to have comments from the public for and against. We're going to have the DA speak, and then we'll conduct the interview. So let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration Willis Rhodus, DOC number 739-665, who's a first felony offender, was convicted of second-degree rape of a juvenile, 3 counts, victims aged 4, 4, and 3, and on 10/22/18 was sentenced to serve 17 years hard labor each count in Tangipahoa Parish. Your parole eligibility date is 7/14/21, you're not eligible for good time, and your full term date is November 16, 32. Does that information sound correct to you, Mr. Rhodus?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what did you do to get yourself in trouble? Why do you think it's a good time for us to release you today?
Well, what got me in trouble was I was in the wrong place at the right time and around people I shouldn't have been around, but I can't, I was, so I can't say nothing about that. That would be disagreeable with what was said. And as far as saying that I should be released, I mean, I really can't speak for you, but I have tried to help myself when I've been incarcerated. I took some classes, and I've been, since I've been here at AVOYELLES, I've been the inmate counselor, and I was the inmate counselor in Tangipahoa Parish before I got shipped.
What do you counsel them on?
It's an inmate counselor, like I help them with DB court. I represent them in disciplinary board hearings. And also I help file motions that any of the offenders need to be filed through the judicial system. You should have a copy of my certificate where I went to Angola to be certified through DOC to do this.
We do. All right. That's all you had to say about those two topics?
Yes, sir. Really, that's
right. Warden, do you have anything to say about his behavior there since he's been with y'all?
Excellent behavior. Haven't had no problems since he's been here, sir.
How long has that been? Do you know? Approximately?
3.5, 4 years. Actually, he's the inmate counsel over here for me.
Maybe 6 years.
All right. I see that we have no one here or on Zoom in support, but we do have several people on Zoom in opposition, one of which would like to speak. We have Tamika White, which is the 21st JDC victim assistant, who is opposed on Zoom, not wishing to speak. We have Michelle Sparks, which is 21st JDC felony supervisor, who's opposed and on Zoom, not wishing to speak. And we have Caitlin Costa, with the 21st JDC, who's opposed on Zoom, not wanting to speak. And we have Alexis Taylor, opposed on Zoom, wanting to speak, and she's with the district attorney's office. So we'll go to Alexis now.
Good morning to the board. I'm not Alexis. I am Tamika White, the 21st JDC Victims Assistance Coordinator. Alexis, well, we're all in court today, and she's currently the only assistant DA that we have. So I'm speaking on behalf of the state. Mr. Rhodus, when you asked him the question, what got him in trouble, he didn't acknowledge what his charges were. His charges came into our office as 3 counts of first-degree rape. The case was set for trial several times, but to avoid putting our victims through a trial, we ended up amending the charges to 3 counts of second-degree rape, where the victim is at a certain age. Those victims, which were his 3 biological daughters, were ages 3, and a set of twins age 4. And it was during one of their speech interviews that they stated that Mr. Rhodus put his penis in their mouth. So I would beg to differ when he stated what got him in trouble. He never stated any of those facts. So because of that, the state would oppose him getting out any earlier than he should. We feel like the 17 years was quite a compromise for the things that he had done to our victims, to the victims. And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. We also note that there's some strong opposition from law enforcement from the DA's office, which we just heard. And case is assigned to me, so I'm going to go ahead on and ask the first question, but I'm like the DA's office, and not enough has been said about the crime committed. On November 15th, 2015, Kentwood Police Department was contacted by the Department of Children and Family Services agent Lisa Carbon, who reported an allegation of child abuse. Lisa was contacted by the school officials from the Roseland Head Start School, advising that a 3-year-old child spoke to one of the teachers, informing them of oral sexual abuse that occurred at the child's home. Major Dunn and Lisa Carbon then relocated to the child's residence and made contact with the child's mother, Angela Carberry. Carberry was interviewed along with the 3 children who spoke of sexual abuse by the father, William Rhodus. During the interview with Carberry, she admitted that she knew about the abuse of the children by Willis, and Carberry advised that she caught Willis previously with the girls and read him some Bible verses, and he stopped. After the interview, Lisa Carbon received a verbal order from the 21st JDC juvenile judge to remove the children from the residence for their safety, and Angela Carberry was arrested for 3 counts of principal to first-degree rape and 3 counts of child endangerment. Willis Rous was arrested later on the same date for 3 counts of first-degree rape. The range of these children were 3 to 5 years old. The only question I have for you is the same one I asked you in the beginning. Why do you think now is the time for us to release you?
Well, I've tried my best to rehabilitate myself when I've been in here. I've, thought long. I've had time to reflect on things that happened. And I've tried my best to change myself. I think I've changed myself some. I don't know if it's to the point that would satisfy everybody, but I've done the best I could to help myself and to help others, and tried my best to rehabilitate myself and use my time as wisely and efficiently as I could when I've been here.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Mr. Freeman, you got any questions?
Yes, I do. Did you take any sex offender treatment?
No, so they're not offered here.
Okay.
I took the anger management and substance abuse, and I
No.
acquired GED, but
Right, we're gonna suggest you get moved, because I'm not gonna consider someone with these type charges without treatment. So we'll get you moved to where they have sex offender treatment.
Ms. Ledoux, you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I would like to reiterate, Mr. Rhodus, that stating that you were in the wrong place was not an acceptable answer for why you're in there. Need to reflect on that. I didn't hear any sign of remorse. That's all I have to say.
yes.
All right, Mr. Rhodus. I cast the first vote, and I'm gonna vote to deny your parole based on the serious nature of the crimes against 3- and 4-year-old victims and strong opposition from the district attorney's office. Mr. Freeman?
I concur with Mr. Byra, victim, law enforcement opposition, and serious nature of the charge and not enough time served.
Ms. Ledoux?
All right. He has not had adequate programming, no pre-release, no sex offender treatment, and he has opposition from law enforcement and victims, and not enough time served.
Mr. Rhodus, today your parole has been denied. This concludes our business today at AVOYELLES Marksville Detention Center at 10:56 a.m.
Yes, I have one question to cut off. Thank you, guys. So they say they want me to move to take classes. What I wanted to ask him was if I take
Look at that, get out of here. My name. Oh, hmm. He gave it to me.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 2025, and the time is 11:03 a.m. My name is Danny Barra, serving as your chairman today. My colleagues on today's panel are Ms. Ledoux to my left and Mr. Freeman to my right. The panel is at headquarters in Baton Rouge, and our remote location is the Louisiana Transition Center. Would the staff at the Transition Center please introduce yourself for the record?
Hello, LaTanya Chase, reentry facilitator.
Thank you.
I'll be the only one here today.
Thank you. And Ms. Gray, would you please introduce yourself for the record with stating your full name and DOC number?
My name is Michaela Gray. My DOC number is 701699.
All right. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. I'm going to read some information to the record, ask you to verify it. We're going to give you a chance to speak and tell us what you did to get yourself in jail and why you think you should be released. We'll ask the warden for some input. We're going to allow any speakers from outside or supporters in for or against to speak. And then we'll conduct your interview. Mr. Freeman has assigned your case. He's going to ask the questions, but let's begin the hearing. Today we have for parole consideration, Michaela Gray, DOC number 701699, who's a third felony offender, who was convicted of possession of CDS Schedule 2 with intent to distribute, possession of CDS Schedule 1 heroin with intent to distribute, and distribution of fentanyl on January 13th, 2022 and January 17th, 2023. Was sentenced to serve a total of 10 years in the Calcasieu Parish Jail. Your parole eligibility date is November 13th, 25. Good term date is May 12th, 26, in less than a year. Your full term date is August 12th, 32. Does that information sound correct to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, and go ahead and tell us what you did to get yourself in trouble and why you think today's the day to let you go.
I got arrested for distribution of fentanyl. And I think y'all should let me go. I know what I did was wrong. Learned my lesson. I've been sober for almost 3 years now. I'm in the living balance class. I did reentry.
All right. Warden, do you have anything to tell us about her behavior there?
I'm not the warden, but
You'll be good enough for us today. Thank you.
okay. Well, she has completed pre-release, and she's also in my living in balance class, and she's been coming every day. She has no write-ups. She's been participating well and applying herself. And she seemed to she's taking accountability of her actions. She's talk about a crime a lot in class, to take accountability. She's always on time. She hadn't missed any days of class. So that's about all I can tell you.
All right. Thank you very much for that input.
You're welcome.
Okay, today we have in support a couple of people on Zoom who would like to speak. We have Angela Jordan, who's in support. It's your mother, and she's wanting to speak. Let's hear from Ms. Jordan.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I really think Michaela has learned her lesson. I've talked to her almost every day since she's been in prison. And she is very, very sorry for everything she's done. We talk about it a lot. She told me she accepted Christ as her Savior. She's read the Bible. She's going to class. We're just ready for her to come home.
Thank you. We also have Miss Crystal Alexander, a godmother, who's on Zoom and would like to speak. Can we hear from Miss Crystal?
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, hey. I've watched Michaela grow up, and I feel like she is truly remorseful for what she's done, and she can make a change. She is capable of that. she does have a support system that could actually help her. I'm willing to help her. I mean, I do work full time, but I am committed to helping her and be supportive to her any way I can, anytime I can. And I believe that she could like live a normal life and be productive if she's given another chance. And she has gone through all the classes. Anything that she was able to do to make progress there, like she did it. Like she didn't have any reason not to. Like she was for every class that was available to her, and she's ready to get on with her life so she can be with her daughter and her family again.
Thank you. We also have opposition from law enforcement. The district attorney's office is opposed and wrote a letter saying that she was selling fentanyl being represented as heroin, which is deadly, while on probation for other drug cases. The sheriff is opposed, and the attorney general is also opposed to early release. The case has been assigned to Mr. Freeman, so he's gonna ask you some questions and start it off.
Okay, Ms. Gray, first off, I keep hearing about all these classes, but you have no good time. Why?
No good time.
You would be out right now if you would have taken classes. You could earn up to a year good time. You have 0 days good time.
I've been writing and I was put in reentry in March of this year. I pleaded in May, and then I got put in living in balance in May.
Okay, well, maybe they would put some of your credits down, but still, that's not many classes at all. Like I say, most people in your position would have walked out the door, would have never heard this hearing. Okay, so I do think you need to look into some more classes. Okay, Max, about this, why was the original charge second-degree murder?
The lady had overdose, and they said that I had given her the drugs, but I wasn't convicted of that.
Do you realize selling drugs does kill people, can kill people?
Yes, sir.
Do you take any responsibility for the death of that person?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have a lot of criminal history, pretty bad criminal history. Have you ever taken any long-term substance abuse?
I'm in one now. I'm in living in balance.
All right, what about the introduction of contraband charge? What was that about?
Whenever I got to jail, they had searched me twice, and I had meth in my bra, and I forgot it was there, and they didn't find it until I got into the jail.
Okay. I see that you have a high need, which is another reason why, I feel that you need those classes. I have no further questions.
Ms. Gray, in your master prison record, it indicates that you have a sheriff's office detainer. What is that for?
I missed my court date when I was here, and Lula didn't bring me, and so they issued a warrant for me, but they're supposed to recall it.
Okay, but why did they have a detainer against you, whether you got to?
I had another charge, but I took care of that charge. I went to court in March for it.
What was the new charge?
They convicted me of distribution.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I got convicted of distribution of fentanyl.
Another fentanyl distribution charge.
Yeah.
So after you had the charge that you're currently serving, they also found you guilty, or they put another charge on you, and they dropped that charge?
It was secondary murder, and they dropped it to distribution of fentanyl because I didn't have nothing to do with the woman's death. So they convicted me of the distribution.
And then they ran it concurrent with the time you're serving?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that detainer is no longer active?
No, ma'am.
Make note of that, staff. I need to look at that. How long have you been in, Miss Gray?
It'll be 3 years on the 17th,
And what was your length of sentence?
10 years.
So you've served a third of your sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have any other questions. Well, I do have one. Who is caring for your child?
Her grandmother.
Or grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Your mother or the father's mother?
Father's mother.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have. Huh? Yeah, we show that the detainer's still pending, so we'll need to look into that. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman, you're the first guy. I have
Okay.
no question.
All right, Ms. Gray, you talk well and you sound well. The bottom line is you haven't taken any classes, gotten any credit, and you're gonna get out as soon as you take those classes. One of them is required, substance abuse. So my vote today is to deny, as your good time date is 5/12/26. And once you take enough classes, you'll be out. You can get up to a year of good time.
Ms. Lejeune?
Well, it seems like punishment. I think, actually, Michaela, the best thing is to leave you where you are so you can finish those classes. So you can have as many tools in your toolbox that you need to be successful when you go back on the street. And I wish you well, but my vote today is to to deny parole because you need to take life. Thank you.
And I'm gonna vote to deny parole also based on the law enforcement opposition. The crime committed while you were on probation already. And the good time date is less than a year out. So Ms. Gray, today your parole has been denied, and this concludes our business for the day at, no, it doesn't, no. This just concludes our business with Ms. Gray at the transition center. All right. Parole Board is called to order and we're resuming hearings at 11:23 at the LA Transition Center. And we got a hearing on Ms. Comeaux. Ms. Comeaux, would you please introduce yourself by stating your full name and DOC number for the record?
My name is Rosina Ko and my DOC number is 781-884.
All right. I'm gonna give you a brief explanation of the process. First, I'm gonna read some information into the record, ask you to verify, then we're gonna give you a chance to tell us what you did that caused you to be incarcerated and why you think you should be released. Then we'll ask the jail staff to give us some input on how you've been there and any other comments from the public that or the district attorney. And so let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration Rosina ComeauX, DOC number 781884, who's a second felony offender who was convicted of theft of a motor vehicle between $5,000 and $25,000 and theft between $5,000 and $25,000 on September 8th, 2023 and June 21st, 2024. She was sentenced to serve 5 years hard labor, each count concurrent in Calcasieu Parish. Your parole eligibility date is August 6, 2025. Your good time date is October 10th, 2025, which is about 4 months away. Your full term date is May 6, 2029. Does that information sound correct to you, Ms. ComeauX?
Yes, sir.
All right. As I said, tell us what you did to get yourself in trouble and why you think it's the time to let you out early now.
I stole a vehicle without permission. I used it and got caught, got in trouble for that. And then another time I stole a suitcase from the baggage claim and I didn't get away with that.
I think it's a good time for us to let you go today early.
Because I've learned my lesson, sir. You know, I've learned my lesson and I've taken classes for reentry. I've learned a lot about going back into society and being a positive civilian.
And which one of those classes did you learn the most from?
The reentry.
Reentry. All right. I see that you don't have an attorney here to speak. I see there's no people on your behalf here to speak. I see okay. How about the jail staff there? Do y'all have any information you could share with us about her behavior in jail?
Ms. ComeauX only completed pre-release phase 1 and 2, and she's write-up free. That's all I know. She hadn't had any write-ups.
Right.
Why do I see, may I interrupt?
Go ahead.
I see that she has, you marked fair as far as her institutional record, and I'm not following that. I don't know where that comes from. If you look at her assessment.
Mm-hmm. And it says fair.
Yes. Let's see. So on 5/14/25, Latanya Chase, institutional record is fair. I mean, look at all of this, and fair means it's not good, and I don't know why.
It's off what they check and tell us on the assessment. That's what we go by, what they check on the assessment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt.
No problem. So we do have quite a bit of law enforcement opposition to early release. The judge is opposed, stating that it's too soon. The district attorney's office is opposed, stating you committed a new crime while you was already on probation. The sheriff's office is just straight out opposed. And the attorney general's office is opposed due to the criminal history involved. Mr. Freeman's assigned your case, so he's gonna go ahead and ask you a few questions.
Okay. Ms. ComeauX, how long have you served? How long have you been in jail?
I've been in jail since May 8th of last year, 2024.
So just a little bit over a year.
Yes, sir.
And you do realize that your date is in 4 months and that you got to take substance abuse and pre-release. That's a requirement. And by the time you finish those, once you get your good time, you would be out. Do you realize that?
No, I didn't realize that.
So no matter what we do today, you still got to complete pre-release and substance abuse
She can finish pre-release.
and be out, but they hadn't given her the credit though for the time. So they need to get those credits to us and you'll be gone. Where do you plan on staying and living if you get out?
I plan on staying with my mother.
And any sobriety plan? Do you have any problems with drugs?
No, sir.
And the chairman already has stated with the law enforcement opinions. I have no further questions.
Do you have a detainer against you right now?
I do have a detainer in East Baton Rouge Parish.
And what is that detainer for?
I'm not sure exactly what the charges are. I think disturbing the peace.
Does stalking sound correct?
It could be, I guess. I don't, but I didn't, yeah.
Okay, so you have not been to court at all on that detainer?
No.
Okay. No further questions.
I have one. You said you don't have a drug problem. Why were you stealing? Why do you steal?
Well, I don't know. I guess at the time it would just seem like a good idea. I wasn't thinking properly.
Easy money, I guess?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Not so easy when you get caught though, huh?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that ends the question. And Mr. Freeman, it's your turn to vote.
Okay, Ms. Como, my vote today would be due to the proximity of your good time date and your mandatory classes to deny, as I state, soon as those credits or classes are taken, you'll probably be walking out the door. Well, go get your detainer taken care of. So you may want to look into that detainer now, so it won't be sitting there when you get out. But today my vote is to deny.
Mr. Dew?
Well, it does maybe sound like punishment. It's not. You need to finish your classes and do the detainer. So my vote is also to deny. I hope when you get out, you're able to take care of your children and have a better life.
And I'm going to also vote to deny based on the new charges were committed while you were on probation for a charge already and the strong law enforcement opposition. So Ms. Como, today your parole has been denied. Good luck to you. This concludes our business with Ms. Como.
Okay.
Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 2025. The time is 11:40. And we're resuming hearings at the Louisiana Transition Center. We have Ms. GEETING up for our hearing. Would you please introduce yourself with your full name for the record? Mute, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
There you go.
All right, let's try it again. Start over.
Sandy Gidding,
And your DOC number?
772-824.
All right. I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. I'm going to read some information into the record, ask you to verify it. We're going to give you a chance to tell us what you did to cause yourself to be incarcerated and why you think we should release you early. We're going to ask the warden or the jail staff for some input. And then we don't have any comments from the public or the district attorney in this case. And we'll go from there. So let's begin. Today we have for parole consideration Sandy Gidding, DOC number 772-824, who's a first felony offender who was convicted of carnal knowledge of a juvenile, indecent behavior with a juvenile, obstruction of justice, and public bribery. On September 19, 2022, was sentenced to serve 4 years total in St. Tammany Parish. Parole eligibility date is September 10th, 2025. You're not eligible for good time, and your full term date is September 10th, 2026. Does that sound correct to you?
Yes, sir.
All right, well then here's the question. What did you do to cause your incarceration, and why do you think you should be released early?
Can't talk about it. So, yes, can I? Okay. We had an affair, and then it went on to the daughter. We bribed to keep it quiet, and I'm here because of my stupidity and my wrongdoings.
And why would it be a good time to let you out early?
I'm a changed person. I'm no longer that person that I come in for. I've grown. I feel bad for I feel bad for the victim, the family. My family has suffered. Their family, I'm sure, has suffered. But I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, Steph, do y'all have any information that you would like to add to it about her behavior since she's been with y'all?
I don't have anything on her as far as classes or anything. She stated that she took sex offense class, but she didn't complete it. So I don't have anything on her as far as write-ups or anything. She don't have any write-ups or anything. No disciplinary. But she has some certificates here that she did online, but it's not ours. You gonna let me speak? Okay. And that's all I have for you.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what do you have? A certificate of completion of what?
Of the sex offense class. I have the first one and the second one. It's not my fault that I couldn't get the other two because he's no longer here.
Yeah, she took it's four phases of it, and she has certificate for phase 1 and 2 that she took up under a facilitator that's no longer here, and the class stopped, and so she didn't get to complete it.
I wrote the warden several times, 3 times to be exact, to be transferred to another facility so I could finish it before my parole, but I was told that I could finish it on the outside, going once a month, going as much as I need to finish on the out. And I'm willing to to wear an ankle monitor or whatever just to get out. I've lost my mom since I've been in here. My dad's sick. I just want to get out and be a better mom, and I want to be a daughter while I can. I want to get out and be a better me.
All right, we get into your statement shortly. We need to note that we do have law enforcement opposition to the early release. We have the district attorney's office stating they're strongly opposed because the crime is, quote, disgusting. The sheriff is opposed. The attorney general is opposed, citing the juvenile victim in the case. So cases assigned to me, I don't really have any questions, but I do have a brief summary to put into the record. It says that Ms. Gidding, along with her husband, John Gidding, entered into a relationship with a 14-year-old girl who was groomed by the couple over a period of time. The relationship lasted over a period of time where Sandy and John invited the girl over to spend time at their residence, and the girl's mother suspected something sexual was going on when she discovered her daughter's partially nude photo had been sent to the couple. The true extent of the relationship was revealed, and it was determined that the couple had been exchanging nude photos with the juvenile and had performed oral sex on the girl. These findings resulted in Sandy and John Gidding being charged with carnal knowledge of a juvenile and indecent behavior with a juvenile. The bribery and obstruction charges arose out of the Giddings attempting to destroy physical evidence against them. Do you have any questions? Mr. Freeman does.
Okay, are you still with your husband?
No, sir. We got a divorce.
And, do you have any contact with your biological kids?
My oldest son passed away in 2017, and my oldest son is 23, and I talk to him twice a week.
Okay. I have no further.
All right. With all that being said, it's time to vote, and I vote first. Ms. Gidding, I have no choice but to deny your request due to the strong law enforcement opposition, the age of the victim, and not served enough time for that type of charge. You really got to deal with the 4 years.
You know, this was a grooming situation, which is even more significant in my mind. My vote is to deny parole.
Mr. Freeman.
My vote is to deny law enforcement opposition.
All right, Ms. Gidding, today your parole has been denied, and this concludes our business with Ms. Gidding.
All right, thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay.
All right, the Committee on Parole is called to order. Today's date is June 24th, 2025. Time is 11:54 a.m. We're resuming our hearings at Louisiana Transition Center, and we have Ms. Lasyone. I guess that's how you say it.
Yes, sir, Lasyone.
Lasyone. Would you please introduce yourself by giving us your full name and DOC number for the record?
Yes, my name is Mariah Leian. My DOC number is 790-387.
All right, I'm going to give you a brief explanation of the process. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, ask you to verify it. Then I'm going to give you a chance to speak and tell us what you did to cause your incarceration and why you should be released. Then we'll ask jail staff for some input. And then we'll allow input from the supporters and the opposition and the district attorney. The case has been assigned to Ms. Ledoux. She's going to ask you the first questions, but let's get started. Today we have for parole consideration Mariah Lasyone, DOC number 390387, who's a first felony offender who was convicted of possession with intent to distribute Schedule II cocaine on 7/17/24 and sentenced to serve 5 years hard labor in Livingston Parish. Your parole date is 8/12/25. Your good time date is October 16th, 2025. Your full-time date is May 12th, 29. Does that information sound correct to you, Ms. Lasyone?
Yes, sir, that information is correct.
All right. So tell us what you did to get yourself in this kind of trouble and why do you think it's a good day for us to let you out? Why?
Yes, sir. I caught this charge back in 2021 with my co-defendant. It was for possession with intention to distribute cocaine. It was we got stopped because the lights on the car was off. So it was basically they had the right to search the vehicle, and that's how the charge came about.
Why is it time to let you go?
So I've been down since May of 2024, and the whole time of my incarceration, I haven't gotten any trouble. No write-ups, no lockdown days. And I've also been in reentry. I've completed reentry May 29th, 2025, and I'm currently living in balance and substance abuse right now. I passed my phase 1 test, and I feel that I'm a changed young lady, not just for me, but for my kids also. And yeah, right now I'm living in balance, and I'm just working towards to be a better young lady.
Does the jail staff have any input on this case?
I do, and I agree with Ms. Lasyone says. She has completed pre-release, and she's also in my living in balance class. She completed phase 1, and she's now in phase 2. Ms. Lasyone, she's applying herself in class. She's ever since the first day she came to class. She's always on time. She's right up free. She participates. She's putting her best foot forward. I really think she's applying herself.
Thank you. All right. Looking at the check sheet, we have no one here to speak in support, but we do have some people from the 21st District Attorney's Office who would like to speak. We have on Zoom from the DA's office, Tamika White, Michelle Sparks, Alexis Taylor, and Caitlin Costa. They all are opposed and on Zoom, and one of them is going to speak. Whoever wants to speak can come on up.
Good afternoon, again to the board. Again, I am Tamika White. I am not Alexis. They are still in court. I am speaking on behalf of the District Attorney's Office and the Assistant DA who prosecuted this case, Mr. Greg Murphy. I am very proud to hear all the positive things that Mariah is doing. Um, she was always someone that had potential and chose to be with the wrong group of people, but the district, he is in opposition due to the fact that the charges they were charged with was like a distribution and possession with the intent marijuana, distribution and possession with the intent heroin, and she was sentenced on the distribution and possession with the intent of a Schedule 2. That sentence was 5 years, which was very lenient, and she was sentenced on July the 17th of 2024. He feels that because she hasn't even done a year of that sentence, he feels like it's too soon for her to be released back. But I am proud of the positive things she's doing while incarcerated.
Thank you. We have a question for you.
In my report, it shows that there was a detainer. She was supposed to go to pretrial June the 12th. Do you know what the disposition of that was?
Caitlin, can you look that up for me? I left the computer in the courtroom.
Maybe Miss Mariah can answer the question. Miss Mariah, did you go to court on June 12th?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And what was your charge that you were?
That charge was theft of a motor vehicle. And they gave me 4 years rent concurrent for credit and then all time served.
So concurrent with what you're doing and supervision after?
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question.
What parish was that in?
That was in East Baton Rouge Parish.
Okay, so that's why we don't see it.
Yeah, that was
Sorry.
in East Baton Rouge Parish.
Well, that's gonna change your date. It's already in the computer channel.
So I want to ask, was that your child in the backseat of the car when you were stopped?
That was my kid. That was my daughter.
And there was a cloud of marijuana smoke in the car when the officer walked up?
Yes, ma'am.
And they didn't charge you with child endangerment at that time?
No, ma'am.
Do you realize that is a danger to your child?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Okay. And you did have the cocaine in your pocket?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, so you're not denying that you were fully culpable in all the things that happened?
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate hearing that. If you were to be released, where would you go and what are your plans for reentry?
I will be going to my mom and dad's house where my kids are currently living. My son and my daughter are living at my mom's house, which is in Baker, Louisiana, 70714. And I have plans to go back to Home Depot. That's where I was working before I was incarcerated last year. I do have plans. My mom talked to them, and I do have plans to go back to Home Depot and start back working at Home Depot in Zachary, Louisiana.
So your co-defendant, Huggins, the one that you were, a male?
Yeah, that's a male. Yes, ma'am.
You were in a relationship with this person?
That's my kid's father.
Is your child's father?
Yes.
So you will maintain that relationship upon release?
No, ma'am.
But do they have custody? Will he have custody of your child?
No, my mom and dad has custody of my kids right now while I'm incarcerated.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I have one question. Who was the gun for that was underneath the passenger seat?
The gun was for me. The gun was for me.
B.
No.
All right, with no further questions, on the vote, Mr. Ledoux.
Mariah, to say that you made some bad decisions would be putting it lightly, wouldn't it? I don't know how else for you to understand the severity. You haven't been in a year. You're getting out very soon. My vote is to deny your parole. I want you to understand that you won't have many choices down the road. keep you out if you continue along this path, right? So my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur. She needs to finish her substance abuse, and once you finish that with the good time, you will be walking out the door. So, but I do think you need that substance abuse. Okay? So good luck to you.
And I'm also gonna vote to deny based on the good time date being less than 4 months away. And you still need to do some treatment stuff while you're there in jail. But good luck to you, and don't go back to the same thing. It don't only get worse. This will conclude our business today. Your parole has been denied. And this concludes our business today at the Transition Center at 12:05 p.m.